Awesome. So thank you everyone for joining. I wanted to share, so this is a talk on AI and Gen AI product creation. And it is related to my new upcoming book, but I'll set up the context. So this is the upcoming book. It's actually launched and it started shipping much earlier than I thought. It was supposed to start shipping from April 15th, but it's already shipping. So I already see some reviews. People are already having some copies out there. So, so I'm going to talk about that. And what I will do is, because it's a smaller group, quite small group, we'll keep it interactive. Feel free to jump in, ask questions, and we'll go with the flow, right? And if it doesn't go for whole 1.5 hours, we can spend time discussing other things like nice weather, football, whatever you feel like. Maybe there's another topic we can talk about. Before coming to USC and becoming a Trojan, I went to UCLA, so we can talk about how that transition is going. So we can talk about that. All right. Okay. So, so this is the talk. Let me first give a quick background what this we are going to talk about. I'll give a lot of you are my students. I teach here at USC. So I see a lot of my students in the class too. I teach a course on product management. I teach courses on AI as well at Annenberg School, and a combination of Annenberg and the Viterbi School of Business, the Communication Data Science. So, but I'll give a little bit background, which goes before coming to USC. So before coming to USC, I had a very, very long career in industry. I've worked for around 20 years or so in the field of AI and product management. So these are some of the things I have always been a product person. I'll talk about what that means a little bit. I discuss about that a lot in my class, but I'll give a little brief about that so you understand what even this talk is about, because in this conversation, we are going to speak about product management. We are going to talk about AI, and not everyone is familiar with both of those topics. So we are going to talk a little bit about what those are, but everyone knows is using a lot of these tools out there. I am a startup and academic advisor. I actually just got into a board of Asian AI startup funded by a very, very large VC capital. So I was excited about that. I'm trying to help them out a little bit to get into the product market fit. And there's a Silicon Valley startup I will start advising also. It's in the AI space. So the founder reached out to me. So I really love doing that kind of work, helping people out, helping companies, helping my students. That's the most interesting part of my job, apart from building. So I have invented, I have a bunch of patents. I have around 10 patents in the United States and worldwide. And I'm an author now. So that's another part of the story. I've written a book. But before becoming any of these, I was total geek, total nerd. I was a researcher. I used to just write research papers, and maybe a lot of my students will say you're still a geek. So that's totally fine. A lot of my friends say that. And coach, mentor, teacher, and professor at USC. And professor at USC, I started in fall last year. So that's when I started becoming a professor at USC as a full-time. I took the role. I started taking three classes. I started as an adjunct. So that's my journey. Been in the industry for quite long. So this conversation, and most of my classes and conversations are also about thinking of bringing academics and industry together in the ecosystem, in that conversation, so that we can learn from industry and academics can learn and benefit from those conversations. And we as students can bring our intense knowledge from academics and the new way of thinking to the industry. So that exchange is what I am really, really passionate about. That's what I do in my classes. That's what I try to do in industry as well. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. A little bit more, just in case you want some names of the companies I work for. I worked for Amazon. I've been with Microsoft before. most recently, I have been a senior vice president of at US Bank, heading up the business banking's AI product division, product management for the AI division. So that's what I've done. I've worked for retail companies, some traditional, some startups. And yeah, you can see UCLA, but I'm quite USC now. I'm quite Trojan. So in my class, I also have a following slide, which says, let's be friends. I'm UCLA, but let's be friends. Because in this time frame, I have quite fully converted. When I go to UCLA, there was a conference I was going to. I went to at UCLA, and they were saying, "You go to USC?" I said, "I'm UCLA grad too." They said, "How did you convert?" I said, "It is going quite well. I like being Trojan." So, all right. So that's the book, and we will delve into it a little bit later. But I will frame more about what is changing, what is happening, so that you have some takeaways from it, and you'll understand why this conversation is extremely, extremely critical for anyone today, right? So this is the book. It has gained a lot of I'm so humbled and so honored to receive forwards from some really industry pioneers I really, really respect. So one of them is head of Google AI R&D and the founder of Google AI R&D. She created Google AI R&D team. That's 4,000 people. So she wrote a foreword for it. Ted Shelton, he's the chief operating officer of Inflection AI, a company founded by Reid Hoffman. Reid Hoffman is the founder of LinkedIn. So two very, very big voices. They have elevated the book with their forewords, and it has been endorsed by leaders from Meta, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, a lot of Silicon Valley startup founders. So that really, really keeps me motivated to keep on doing good work and working with them to get their feedback, incorporating it back and forth. There's a lot of good exchange. And most recently, and if you are in AI field, or maybe I'll give a little bit of this background, it might resonate. Similar to ChatGPT, how ChatGPT has a models called as GPT models, right? On which ChatGPT runs. Cloud, if anyone is familiar with those, the Anthropic cloud, they have model which are cloud models, and Anthropic runs on those. Similarly, Meta has these large language models, like which are called Llama models, and they're open source models. So one of the co-founders of those models, someone who co-authored those models from ground up, also endorsed the book. So there are a lot of very, very good people coming in the conversation and talking about, hey, AI product creation is a different art. AI product management is a different art. We'll talk about that and how to think about it just from a systematic way, right? So those are some of the very, very interesting voices coming in this conversation, and this conversation is super critical, super important. And I have received a lot of good support and feedback from professors at Stanford, MIT, educators from MIT, UCLA, also USC. Obviously, all my USC professors have supported me always, and I'm so grateful for that. And beyond that, all the top universities, even INSEAD, and Carnegie Mellon, you name it. So so that's a little bit of context. This book is out, but now let's go into what it is talking about, what we actually mean when we talk about AI products. Okay. Before coming to that, what is the AI products? I want to set some base on what is AI. Okay, that's what we'll do. And then we'll talk about what is product. And then we'll talk about what is AI product. Okay, so we'll take it step by step. And as you go along, this is a small audience. If you have questions, feel free to jump in, ask, raise your hand. I like to keep it interactive. So no question is a a basic question or a stupid question. We are all learning. I'm learning too. I always tell that I learn as much as I teach from you, right? You teach me as much as I teach you. So please ask questions. They're great. So let's start talking about a little bit on what AI is. And this is so maybe I need to figure out how to get these out of the way, because I don't want a professional audience. Okay, great. Okay, is this better now? Maybe I'll reduce this too. Okay. Okay, is this better view? Awesome. All right. So before talking about AI, a lot of people became aware of AI and it became a household name when ChatGPT came out in 2022. But I'm in AI field from 20 years. So AI was there from much, much longer time. Actually, I'm there from 20 years, but first neural networks was built by Jeff Hinton, who is, I call as a godfather of AI in 1970s. It didn't pick up because there were computational challenges. Okay, so that's a different part of story. I talk about that a lot, but what this is representing is actually Netflix recommendation system in early stages. Okay, so everyone watches movies on Netflix. Everyone has Netflix account. I have Netflix account. Okay, so Netflix, the recommendations that you see, they launched it in 2008 timeframe. Before, we never called it AI. We used to call it machine learning, right? And the way it was built was, these were associations of statistical model and mathematics through which, for example, this is showing a linear regression model through which we understand if I like something, what else I will like. How is my browsing history associated with other titles, and how are those titles similar to each other? Okay, so these are at base level, very basic models, but they are providing a dynamic outcome, and through that, they are creating better experience, better customer experience, and obviously generating a lot of revenue. One of the success factors of Netflix becoming what they are has been personalization or recommendations. Okay, that has been core to their strategy. Okay, so it was happening from a long time before. But let's talk about what is changing. So, but over a period of time, there has been lot more research in this area, lot more inventions in this area. And so artificial intelligence is this big term under which there's a machine learning. And then beyond machine learning, we started building these neural networks, how brains work, right? Neural networks is essentially how brains work. They're modeled based on those. So that's deep learning. And as we go along within deep learning, there's another imagine circle you can draw, the generative AI. And generative AI is something that has taken things by storm because suddenly people can experience it. You were already using all these AI capabilities before. You were using, for example, Facebook, all those news feeds are prioritized based on algorithm, based on your preferences. It's all AI in the background. It was always there. The Instagram feeds, all of those are AI driven. The recommendations you get of which friends you should connect with, much before generative AI came in. So this is a little bit of a picture of what is happening. And then language is just one mode in the AI equation. There's also a mode of vision, which is language is how you talk and speak, and converting that into a machine language is the language models. But computer vision is how do you make machines to understand what is out there in the visual manner. That's how self-driving cars are built, from computer vision, right? So this is a little bit of a grounding of the concepts we are going to discuss. And then So as I was saying, 1958, the term AI was coined. And around 1974 to 1980, this was the time, around 1970, Jeff Hinton proposed the perceptron, the neural network model, but it didn't see a day of light because computational power was not enough to prove his ideas to be right, right? And then people thought it was a fad, but then it started picking up. And around 2020, we saw the GPT models came in, GPT-3. They were not very advanced. They were not very useful. But over 2022 and moving forward, we have seen a lot more progress. Okay, ChatGPT came out around that time. So this shows a little bit of a timeline of what has happened in the space. Yes.
Can you go back to the other slide?
Sure.
Now, where does agentic AI play in this to write?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we are also having a conversation about agentic AI. Agentic AI fits somewhere in the circle of generative AI, right? So the way agentic AIs are built are, and it's actually a little bigger conversation. Agentic AI is not only generative AI, it's also software around it. Because what agentic AI does is, instead of you trying to ask a question from ChatGPT and get an answer, agentic AI is understanding what you're trying to do and is able to connect with the environment outside and then able to execute a task for you. For example, instead of me saying, tell me a recommendation on a flights I can book, it also has a capability to scrape the data from Expedia and then connect through the API, use your credit card and book a flight. Not everything there is generative AI. It is powered through generative AI. It is also the software, the API, and the ecosystem we had built before that is being used along with generative AI to build it out. And that's where the product thinking comes in. We'll talk about that, but great question.
And then just because I'm new to this, what is an API?
So API is, so imagine it in this way. If we want, for example, to get a information, let's stay with the booking example. We want to get a information about the flights, of what flights are available, and it's a software system. To get the information of the flights from one application, let's say on your mobile application, you want to be able to pull that information automatically instead of going over there and browsing it and manually entering it. So API provides that communication mechanism between two technologies, two systems in some way. So that's called API, application programming interface. There's standard interfaces nowadays so that you can pull out information that you want. Yeah, great. No, great question. Keep them coming. Okay, so this is kind of a timeline of all that is happening. As you can see, there's a deep learning, find cats. What that is actually talking about is the computer vision that we talked about, where machine was able to identify what is a cat and what is a dog. And that is actually something humans are very, very good at doing. And now machines can do that too. And that sounds very trivial if you think of that in that sense. But now if machine can identify what is cat and dog, machine can identify what is stop sign, who is human, what the lane looks like. Is it a right turn or left turn? And suddenly you can apply it and extend that thinking to build self-driving car. And that's how self-driving cars are built, right? So a lot of that innovation, the fundamental innovation, brings up totally new industries, totally new innovations. And that's where foundations are super important, okay? So yeah, so now let's talk about one more thing, and I won't drain this slide because we are going to talk about AI product management. But what has happened is the speed of innovation in the AI space has rapidly evolved. at a exponential like a pace. So what this is showing is on the x-axis, the timeline of the models. So earlier there were GPT models on which ChatGPT is built out. They were not advanced enough for us to use them. They were in the research labs. I'd use the BERT models in the startup I worked for. It was more advanced than GPT model at that time, actually. It was built by Google. And so these models were there. And the way it works is the higher number of parameters, think of it as a brain cells they have. It's called parameters, essentially. More smarter they are. So AI works on three fundamental things: data, these parameters, and the training. Okay, so parameters is one of the very critical factors. It requires huge computational cost. And as you grow them up, the cost is super high, but they become smarter and smarter. And last couple of years, and this is only talking until 2023, there's even much more going on right now. I've not been able to keep up and update the slide. But that piece, as you can see, suddenly everyone's investing on it, right? A training a model like that can take $100 million. That's why Anthropic is asking $50 billion investment. OpenAI just asked for another $40 billion investment, right? Yes.
How does that large investment compare to what DeepSeek did for the last year?
That's a great question, and we can. So what DeepSeek did is they did prove that with lower investments they can build a model out, and it did change the conversation a little bit. Are we wasting money a lot or not? But in reality, there's actually also a concern that they used a lot of training that was already created from Llama models, which is open source, and GPT models to bootstrap it. But they did become very creative. It was very interesting. And we talked about that in class. They did become very creative. They created distillation models, and it did spark a very, very interesting conversation.
It uses less power.
They use the power in intelligent ways. They change the algorithm to use the power in intelligent ways. I think the saying for that is actually constraints breed resourcefulness. So we try to constrain them. We won't give you NVIDIA chips. They use the older ones to get the same outcomes and better outcomes. So change the conversation. So constraints breeds resourcefulness. I always remembers that, like, one of Jeff Bezos used to say that at Amazon all the time. So that's why he will not fund anything and then make people do work. So terrible conditions from working standpoint, but yes, constraints breed resourcefulness. So great. Okay, let's keep on going. Great question. Now what is happening is, why is language models so different? Why has the AI is becoming a household name now when it was out there 50 years from now, right? 15 years from before, right? It was there. In 1970s, it was there in 2000s, but it was not a household name. There was always excitement, interest, research there, but it was not at this level, what we are seeing right now. And I think one of the major reasons is humans interact with each other through communication and language. And this is actionable communication skill. We interact through communication and language. And that's a fundamental fabric of innovation. And we have not been able to crack that language code before. In 2018 or 20 timeframe, when we had these models, we tested these out, the BERT models, they will barely create a sentence properly. Foundation model changed that conversation from creating a sentence to creating all these paragraphs and essays, and that's where things shifted. Even no one actually saw this coming in reality. Andrew Ng, who is one of the like, so if Jeff Hinton is godfather, Andrew Ng, I call him as a father of AI. He said this in one of our conversations, that you will never expect machines to write a full email for you. He didn't anticipate it coming. No one anticipated it coming. Okay, it came through research, it came through a lot of innovation. It just moved that conversation forward in a very, very quick and rapid pace. Okay, so this is just some foundation of what is happening, why it is important, and why this is relevant before we start talking about the book. So, and now between this and between the models and the real world, so these are just models. Model is a mathematical function, essentially, at the back end, with a lot of data, a lot of training. They're neural nets. That's model is. That's what model is. Maybe I'm simplifying it very crudely, but to make these models useful, you need to build products. Okay. So can someone tell me what they understand about product? Give me an example of a product, maybe. Anyone? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So product solves a problem for a user, and a product can be a physical product, like this MacBook is a product. Yeah, in today's world, it can be anything, right? Facebook is a product. Facebook news feed is a product. Gmail is a product. ChatGPT itself is a product. Yeah, great. Yeah, so those are products. Now, from models to products, the conversation suddenly changes a lot. You can create models, but how do you create a product that is actually useful, that actually solves a problem, that actually gets adopted? There's a lot of thinking that goes behind it. And yeah, I have a class on product management, but what we are going to talk about that is, and a lot of my product management students are here too, I see. We talk about products and we talk about models, but AI product and creation of it in today's era is different. It evolves further, that conversation further. And that's what we are talking about here. Okay. So we talked about the relevancy, what is happening in the AI world, and then let's the product part. Okay. So creating product, before even coming to the AI product, creating product is an art and a science. It's art and a science. Art in a sense that you have to have a good judgment. You need to have an intuition of what people will like, what people will want. Like Steve Jobs has a spidey sense, and he knew people will like iPhones. People like us, normal people, do a lot of customer research and understand a lot of data to figure out what will people want and need. They will create a vision, and then they'll create a product. Right? Gmail was created that way. Google was created that way, right? Meta is created that way. Most of the companies are created that way. You do a lot of research. You need to understand, have a customer empathy. Then you work with your developers to bring that vision to life, right? Engineers to bring that vision to life. So there's engineers, there are product managers, there are designers. All of them work in sync to bring a product to life. There's whole teams that are working on it. Most of the companies in Silicon Valley today are product-driven companies. They think of creating products, and there are product teams that are focused on it. There's a product manager that drives it, and the engineers, architects, designers, marketers, they all work around it. Okay, so product creation is one of the most critical art today and one of the most coveted field. in the industry, becoming a product manager. Very, very coveted field. Fortunately, I have been in that field from quite long. But in today's world, as AI has come in, the conversation about creating those products has to evolve. Okay. So, and I want to clarify a couple of things. Okay. One is there is a concept of using AI technologies. That's what a lot of people are talking about. How do I use ChatGPT, cloud, agentic models, these workflows, Zapier, Crew.ai, all these to build prototype effectively, to do customer research effectively, to do my assignments effectively. I actually encourage my students to do my assignments using AI. Why not? Right? I don't, my classes are for using AI. Why can't you use AI? You should be using AI. And if I tell you not to use AI, you'll anyways use AI. So I'll rather make my assignments so that you use AI, right? Make it interactive, right? So, and constraining is not a solution. So that's the conversation that is happening a lot. And I do think that is important. We should all learn how to use this AI in an effective way. Okay. But what is going to happen is, because this is all new, we are learning how to use AI. Using AI will become, okay, sorry. Using AI will become something like using Google Doc, using spreadsheet. You don't talk about using Google Doc. That's not a skill. You don't talk about using Jira. It will become that way quite soon because it will get embedded in your workflow every day. So then what is going to become more important? I'm not discounting that fact. Please learn how to use these tools. Super important. But what is more important is to keep you ahead of the curve so that you're not chasing and running behind, is learn how to build them. Understand what does it take to build AI products. That is what you're going to differentiate you in the market. Okay. Yes.
When we talk about building, is it building it from scratch, or is it using products like OpenAI kind of as the foundation to build it?
It could be both. It could be both. It could be building from scratch. Suppose if you're working for a foundation model company like OpenAI, which provides these foundation models, or Anthropic, or Grok, if you're working for Elon Musk, using those models and building those models from ground up, absolutely. It could be you work for a company like Capital One, and you use a model to provide recommendation or understanding of whether that person is creditworthy or not. That's fine too. So it's using those technologies. It could be using the tool sets that we have, like Zapier, Crew.ai, that are out there right now, to which you can create agentic systems very quickly, and building that. That's fine too. It's about building any product that is infused by AI, or it has either AI native features or AI enhanced features, right? Yeah, I mean, so using it existing or building it from scratch, both of them. Yeah, both come under creation of AI product. Every software product, and I want you to understand this, you use software every day. Every software product in next 2 years, 2-3 years, will become AI product. Everything will be driven through AI. It's already getting infused. That is why this conversation is extremely, extremely important. Okay. All right. So now this is my preface from the book. Let me read it a little bit. Today's businesses are caught in paradox. And there are a lot of AI tools. The rapid democratization of AI tools and technologies has made AI development more accessible than ever. Okay. But creating successful AI products is super hard. Okay. People understand how to use it a little bit, but they can't create useful products that work in a market at scale. When you go in your companies, you'll see that problem. I was on a panel yesterday at Microsoft Irvine office, and we talked about how 80% product don't see a day of light. They fail. 80% AI products, they are in the demo phase. That means people don't understand how to create AI products in a systematic way. Okay. Now, the one thing I stress is the gap lies not in the availability of technology. It's available. You can go to Hugging Face and download a model and start using it. Llama model is available. Colab, Google Colab is available. You can start building it out. Now there are tools out there from which you can build these very, very rapidly. But it's the absence of systematic approach to AI product creation. And this is even more important if you try to build a company. If you're working for a large company, then it becomes even more important. This becomes very, very challenging problem. Okay. So now the whole crux of this is that AI development is fundamentally different from software development. It's fundamentally different. Does anyone has a software background at all? Anyone has worked in software before, building software products? Okay, one. Anyone else? Has anyone worked not as a software engineer per se, but in a software industry? Maybe they have worked as a marketer. Maybe they have worked as, yeah, great. Okay, yeah. So you have interacted and maybe worked with teams that are using softwares, right? So building those softwares versus building AI softwares, they can still be software or AI products, is fundamentally different. That's the first piece that is happening. All industries, all tech industries people are working in right now, or they're creating companies on, are generally software companies. There are real world companies coming in now with the AI space, which is very interesting. They're called real world models, like robots that will clean my dishes so that I don't have to worry about it. That will be wonderful. Although there's a dishwasher, I wanted my robot to put that dishes in the dishwasher. That will be wonderful. But so that is also probably coming in very, very soon. But the first piece is AI development fundamentally differs from traditional software. Okay. Because it is probabilistic in nature, like suppose as a software, I want you to imagine when you build a software, you define your iPhone interface. Where is my iPhone? Yeah, my iPhone interface, like maybe this reminder interface to look like this, right? Someone as a software decided it. In the world of AI, what is happening is this is not deterministic. This is probabilistic. This interface can change based on who the user is. This is happening, but the issue is how do you build so that it satisfies the user needs? And even when it's changing, it doesn't go off rails, right? So the whole software development methodology shifts in the AI era, okay? And there's one more interesting piece of the nuance here, which I have defined the AI product manager, designers are there, marketers are there. A lot of people will go in different fields, all are great fields, software developers in the AI field, researchers, PR people, right? Communicators. All these roles will start commingling much more because now there are tools. A software developer can start doing UX job, a UX person can start doing software job. So there's a rise of, I call as an AI product creator. There will be a rise of AI product creator, someone who understands these disparate things and can bring it together. You will still have a niche, you will still have a place, but you will need or you will be expected to learn a more broader skills with the help of your assistants, the AI assistants. Okay, so that's what is happening. That's what is going to happen. So, and this is a blue paper. So blue paper, I didn't want to call it a white paper. I called it blue paper because I thought white papers were quite boring. So I called it a blue paper. And I wrote that it's called Rise of AI Product Creators. And it's a companion to the book. People who are getting a book can get that too, because I thought there was some context in the book that I realized I wanted to add later, but my editor said it's too late. So I was anyways giving her a lot of hard time. I was constantly updating it. And then she said, no, we can't update it anymore. It's a big publishing house, Wiley, so they have these processes and whatnot. So I wrote a blue paper. So that's what it is. The future belongs to those who see products not as something we build once, but as a living organism. Yes?
How do we do?
You can, when you get a book, I mean, I don't know how to get this process right, but if I have created a form, you fill that form and then the blue paper will come. Yeah, that's how it is. That's how publisher has set it up, right? Because it's going through from the publisher. But if you want it, I can send to, but don't tell them. Yeah. So the future belongs to those who see products not as something to build once, but as an evolving organism that never stop learning, changing, and surprising. And it's quite different, and we'll talk about what each of these means. Think of these softwares that you use as not a static entity, but as a living organism, because they're changing. The behavior is quite different. AI is actually, it behaves a lot like humans and a toddler. It learns from data like a toddler will. You show a toddler, this is a laptop, and they start learning what the laptop looks like. But then you show that Lenovo one, it won't understand it, that's a laptop. Then you have to show more Lenovo laptops, and then they will understand, oh, now laptops have a broader, like a scope. And then you start showing an iPad, and then they will get confused. Why is this a laptop or still a computing device, right? So over a period of time with a lot of data, AI learns, and the behavior of AI in so many ways is like a human. And it is also because it is built as a foundation of these neural networks. They're designed fundamentally with that mechanism. Although there's obviously a lot of differences, they don't have empathy, they are mathematical functions at the end of the day, they're probabilistic in nature. But this is one way to think about products now, okay? So let's go a little bit deeper into it. Now I had talked about the product manager role, and this slide applies to product managers as well, the traditional product managers who build interfaces. For example, there will be a product manager at Amazon building Amazon.com homepage, right? There'll be product manager at Amazon thinking of shipping and delivery mechanisms. There will be product manager at PayPal thinking of how the PayPal button will work at checkout, right? Those are still there, and they will be, and they will define how they work with people to orchestrate their product. But in the AI product creation world, lot of new aspects come in. In the AI product creation world, what happens is you are working with humans. Imagine you're working with humans like creative artists, and you're working with machines, or you're working with people with very, very different mindsets like researchers, and bringing those products to life. Your scope suddenly broadens, your considerations broadens. You have to think of ethics from ground up when you're building the AI products, right? So this is one piece. There's a lot of commonality on how that cross-functional thinking applies, but it just evolves and becomes a little more complex. Okay, yes.
So where does privacy themselves come?
I think it's,
in this?
I put it under ethical frameworks generally, but privacy is absolutely important. Yeah, great. All right. So now another piece I want to emphasize is we talked about creating products, and I don't want my product management class to think everything they learned was not useful. Everything they learned was super useful, is super relevant, and that's the foundation. AI doesn't replace the product thinking, okay? It augments it. There's more layer and a more complexity that comes in, and using that foundation and building that foundation is the most important piece you want to learn first, and then you want to learn what is AI product management and what is AI product creation. So a lot of those foundations still remain. AI is not going to replace the customer feedback and the research. It is not going to replace the empathy. It is not going to replace the judgment. It is not going to replace the communication. It is going to accelerate some of these. And then there are many more new considerations that come in. Okay, and that's what the book is talking about. What are those considerations? Okay, the 9 steps framework in the book essentially talks about those considerations and goes into very, very detailed manner on how to think about it, how to think about creating AI products. Okay. So next generation of product won't behave like static software and fixed requirements. They will evolve more like organism. And let's go into it a little bit more. So actually in this one, I do talk about like stakeholder management, for example. In my class, we talk about that a lot, the stakeholder management piece. And then I simulated in the class. It was a lot of fun. The student group was presenting, and then I put another student group on spot and said, you are going to resist their product vision, and you're going to tell them how wrong it is and why are you not aligned with it. But in the AI world, it evolves even more significantly because they don't understand as a researcher what researchers have built, what AI teams have built out. They don't understand why it is changing all the time, right? So all the stakeholder management, it just goes on steroids suddenly. You need to be able to educate them. Yes.
Can you please elaborate more on that specific aspect, like they evolve more like, for example, if you consider Spotify as a product, it's using AI to improve its recommendation.
Yeah.
So are you mentioning that we'll have products that will work on its success metrics by themselves, or will there be human involvement that,
Yeah.
if it's probabilistic, how can we rely totally on AI to, make the metrics, more successful?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's a great question. So maybe I'll try to double down on Spotify example. So they are using AI already a little, and then I'll talk about the evolution of it. If you think of, just imagine a content page which is not an AI in the Spotify, that is static, that's not changing. But in the Spotify example of when I'm getting a music recommendation, it is like a living organism because it's learning from your behavior, other behaviors to evolve your recommendations. That's one. Okay. Okay, great. The second, what is happening is, so it is craving data, it is learning, it is adopting based on whether that recommendation was useful to you or not, whether you listen to the song or not. And then maybe it will give you a recommendation that you never thought was useful to you and surprised you. That's a simple way to think about it for first, right? It is evolving continuously, and while it is not static, it is dynamic. No one knows what recommendation I will get. A business person sitting there doesn't know what recommendation I will get. They've created an algorithm and they have let it run, right? It is giving me a recommendation. So then I have, as a business person, as a product leader, as a marketer, I need to be comfortable with that. And so I'll take another example. So I worked for a very traditional company, a retail company. And in the product pages, we will have these recommendations of people who bought this also bought or frequently bought together. If you got an iPhone, this iPhone cover would be great. Now, there are merchandisers who buy these products and they will say, I want to put what people can buy together. And they wanted to control it because they didn't want a recommendation to go off rails. They were not comfortable with it. Imagine if Spotify behaved that way. They said, I want to understand based on what you have liked, I will curate it manually and give you a recommendation, and that will go in the system so you can control it. That mindset exists because I want to control it. But then when we had a conversation on, I'm going to create a machine learning based frequently bought together, They were not comfortable with it. My product pages, they will get spoiled. They will look horrible. What are you talking about? The edge cases. And then it became one of the most successful product launches. Generating, yes.
What about you think about pairing products to make this customer buy one product to go to a different product? I saw a news story recently about Amazon integrating AI in pricing so that if you're somebody that buys a product on a cheaper level, then when you revisit the website, it will offer you that item at a cheaper level. But if you're buying things that are more expensive, it will offer you that same product at a more expensive price, being the product. What are your thoughts on that?
So I was in Orbit's, we were in Wall Street Journal for doing that. So I don't know how much ethical it is, how much legal it is. They can change the algorithm and maybe they can put the multiple buyers and then put a buyer who's more expensive over versus buyer who's less expensive. So they get more margin. I don't like that as a customer experience decision aspect because it needs to be, it should be about the types of product. Do I care about luxury products versus I care about non-branded? Instead of for the same product, I'm giving a different price. At the same time, at the same moment is the problem. If at the airlines at the same moment, if everyone is paying the same price, that's fine. I work for a travel company. We did something like this for MacBook versus Lenovo. We said MacBook people can buy more expensive stuff like you all can. We offered the hotel prices at a higher price. We were on Wall Street Journal, and we had to pull that down. Yeah. Great. Yeah, great. Any? Okay. Yeah. I don't agree to that, and they might revert back if they're doing that, or maybe they will continue. Who knows? Yeah. But it's not necessarily ethically decision. Yeah. Okay. So now to Spotify example, just to bring the home. Now imagine in the generative AI world, it can go beyond this. Instead of just curating these recommendations, agentic AI could, for example, find the songs that are not in the Spotify platform. Maybe there's someone who's from like me, maybe someone is from India. I like a lot of music that is not on Spotify. So that's why I'm a YouTube. I subscribe for YouTube because I get a lot of those songs, right? Spotify will understand, get it from YouTube, maybe broker a partnership automatically with YouTube, get those through the API, show it to me, and it will play on Spotify. That's where it is evolving and surprising, right? You put a goal on an agent, and that goal is make this experience great under these guardrails. And that agent will go out and fetch those songs and give it to you. That's where the evolution is starting coming in. Okay. All right. So we'll keep on going. So this is like a build, learn, adopt, surprise. Building is planting a seed, not thinking of a full-fledged tree from the same day, but planting a seed and starting it to grow because it learns on a data. Gather a lot of data. As you know, AI learns on a lot of data. So learn based on data. Allow it to adopt, like a barista will go, you come to a barista and a coffee shop, and the barista knows exactly what kind of coffee you want, and they will adopt to it every time when you ask for it. That's where the adoption is, right? From learning, hey, what do you like, to adopting and then giving that to you. And maybe they also understand today you're in mood of a chai tea latte instead of a cafe latte. Maybe it automatically knows it somehow. That will be amazing, right? Maybe today you will like a green tea because it's too early in the morning. And then ultimately it surprises you, right? It gives you unexpected surprises, but which are positive, not negative. That's where the biggest shift is happening. These AI products are going to surprise you, but you need to build them in a systematic way so that they surprise you in a positive direction. I'll give an example from a business side. of a surprise so that it might resonate. A very small basic example. I was talking about that in that Microsoft Irvine too. We built a chatbot to answer customer queries. Okay. Goal was automation to answer customer queries when humans are not there 24/7. Maybe someone is reaching out at 10 p.m. at night. I want to be able to answer the query. So it's a chatbot. Goal is automation, but what we got was customer insights. Because suddenly the same technology that was being used to chat, we could use a lot of these data and information customers giving to us, complaints that are giving to us. And instead of humans curating it, AI was helping us with that layer of information. And we built whole strategy around getting better retention rates from the customer standpoint. Now that's a surprise. That's an example of a surprise, but there's so many more positive surprises that can come in. Okay, so that's what AI is doing. AI is changing a lot of it. Earlier, it was about what you build is what you get. Now, be ready for surprises. Hopefully, the positive. Okay, all right. Now this is just the same diagram in a different visual, and I want to reinforce the future belongs to those who see products as something that is not built once. That is not built once, but evolving organisms that never stops learning and never stops surprising. Like a toddler. A toddler, you grow them and they will surprise you. They will become a soccer champion, right? It's not like a toaster where it will just toast breads for you every time. It is much more like an organism, right? Living organism. Okay. And will keep on changing, keep on adopting. Okay. So now we talked about this a lot already. There are a lot of phases of product management. They are listed out: customer discovery, vision and strategy, execution, post-launch. Some will get augmented through AI, and some will get shifted with AI. The biggest impact in the AI era, I don't see AI replacing the empathy part, but I see augmenting how we do research in much more deeper way. But I do see a lot of execution aspects, especially that changes very, very rapidly in the AI way, and that changes from the methodology standpoint too. There's two pieces: discovery and execution. Execution is going to be vastly different. And discovery has a lot of changes too. Okay. All right. So I'll skip this a little bit because it's we are running a little bit short on time. So maybe these are some examples. So this is common one, the Amazon one, the retail one. Healthcare Google, patient summaries help. One of my student groups had a very, very interesting project idea. What they tried doing in one of the classes is they had this from health related. For example, from the watch, they will be able to identify your mood and identify your heartbeat, and then they'll put it on the agentic AI model on top of it, and that will tell you what kind of diet, what kind of food you should eat, right? So that's the intelligence of connecting your heartbeat and heart rhythms. Maybe you woke up and then you know what kind of food will be useful, nutritional value, and you have this personalized history, and you bring it all together in a very nice way, right? So that's what is changing, right? AI generated patient summary is another example, but that's, I think, an even better example. Finance, JP Morgan Chase, I had worked for US Bank, automated generated reports for AI risk analysis and whatnot. Maybe more interesting ideas on giving you a credit card in a much more personalized way, giving you a credit card that is personalized to your rates and your needs. And then Tesla, Waymo, we know self-driving car, right? Now, again, if you can take one thing out from this like class, this is one of them, maybe you should take a couple. You get superpowers by getting better customer research, much more faster. If you get a ChatGPT Pro or Copilot Pro, you can get reports and market reports. I use it. It was amazing, right? Now I don't have to spend 5 hours generating that report. I can just get that report and then I can think through it in deep way. Humans are designed to do higher level work. We were doing a lot of grunt work from long time. Like imagine the library times you have to go and search for a book to do the research, and then now Google search came in. Now you don't have to do that. Now we have to just think. You'll think at a higher level of abstraction more and more, which is good. So generative AI does give us superpowers, but the real skill isn't using it, which will become embedded every day, like a Docs, Google Docs, like Excel, but it's about shaping the future. That's one thing I love you to take away, that, hey, how can I use AI to build products that are meaningful? What does it mean? Okay. So, yeah, broader responsibilities. I know there's bunch. I want to go to some other things. So, yeah, product creators don't just manage products. This is the same point we talked about a little bit. So I'll just go further. And this is the welcome to AI product creators. Okay. And now, sorry, maybe I'll just show that the future belongs to those who see products as something not we build once. And this is the welcome to world of AI product creation. Okay. Now, what I have done is to help the community on the stuff we just talked about, on why this is such a important conversation, why this is, so we talked about that, why this is super relevant, super important conversation, and everyone should care about it, who wants to shape the future in the technology world especially. I created a framework, a 9-step framework, how to create these products. And that's what is written down in the book. And this is the kind of a mixture of feedback I have received, and I've written that down. Like one of the director of Google, he was director of Google, and he also teaches that AI at UCLA, by the way. He's one of my friends. He said it's an enduring framework. So I took some quotes from a lot of people, and I wrote it in this way: the enduring methodology that transforms visionary concepts into intelligent solutions. Proven principles that stand test of time. So I was very purposeful when I was writing this book. I didn't want this book, like the way AI is evolving, I didn't want this book to become outdated 6 months from now, or a year from now, or 2 years from now. I purposefully didn't talk about tools at all in this book. I didn't even talk about agentic AI in this book a lot. Because in my mind, the way I think about it, agentic AI is just another evolution in that thinking. AGI will come in soon, SAI will come in soon. And then if you talk about agentic AI, that book is going to get outdated very soon. Although it's one of the biggest revolution, it is going to stay for a few years, but then it is going to fade away. And the new technology will come in. Technologies will keep on shifting. What doesn't shift is the fundamental thinking and the intuition on how to do things. Those management principles, those technology underpinnings, they don't change. So my book is not talking about, although it has relevant contemporary examples, a lot of those case studies so that you can wrap your head around it. But purposefully, it is talking about in a structured framework fashion so that you can bring the intuition in this new era. Okay, so that's what the book is about. Proven principles that stand test of time. I was actively taking any content out that I thought won't stand the test of time. Okay. So that's the book is coming out. And now I know we have 15. I have actually 40 more slides after this. Obviously, we can't cover it. So I will just stop here. Maybe it will be a class I'll create on this and we can teach and we can have a conversation. But this is the 9-step framework. That's the framework. And there's a chapter dedicated to it. There's a 10th chapter after that. called as AI will be new UX. Um, and um, uh, and then yeah, so these are 9 chapters. It talks about why the world is changing. Every chapter talks about a step in that framework in a depth, and then AI is the new UX is how it ends. By the way, if anyone is from US background, they will probably appreciate or maybe probably kill me. They can do either. If I will say the UX is going to completely transform, we are not going to live in the world of the buttons, the menus, the taps, because they were all created so that we can communicate with computers. But that's not how humans communicate. We communicate by listening. We communicate by talking. And now AI can do that. So all the UX interface, that is a communication between human and computer, human and your mobile phone, human and a TikTok, is going to evolve. It is going to be about AI-driven communication. It is going to be about speaking, listening, and watching. That's how it is all going to evolve. So that's why I call the 10th chapter AI as the new UX and how to think about it. Okay, so that's the book, and obviously there are. I will just leave that. It was going to talk about those, but I didn't realize it will take 1 hour 15 minutes. So that's the talk. Questions or thoughts? Any questions? Yes.
Just on a basic level, I know there's learning language models, and then you need the data to train the model, right? Is that,
Yeah.
and so with the learning language model, that's where the sophistication comes in. That's what like companies like OpenAI have. And then they just need the data to improve on the model. The more data you have, the better outcomes or the better output you have.
Okay, there's a little more nuance than that. So, and there was a conversation that is also going around about models have no moat. What it means is now the world has evolved so rapidly, and I'll answer that having a better model doesn't help at all, because you can have a better model, but that's not a differentiator. Okay.
Data differentiator.
And applications on top of it. So what you build from it is the differentiator. The human thinking of how you make it purposeful and useful is the differentiator. So there's other things that goes in it. So there's a model, right? So like Llama model or GPT models. These are the models. And by the way, and we are in USC, so let's give credit to that too. 2017 Transformers came out. The research paper, attention is all you need. 2 of them, so it was from Google, by the way, but the top 2, the first 2 writers of those authors of those papers were PhDs from USC. Yeah, so USC, they were in Waterbury School, right? 2 of them, right? Nikki Palmer and Ashish Vaswani. They're the first 2 authors. They are from USC, by the way. A lot of people don't know because it says Google, because they worked at Google, but before that they did a PhD from here. 4 years after they wrote the paper. So that's one piece. That Transformers model is how all the models are built. Llama is built that way. OpenAI has built the model that way. Cloud has built that way. Even Elon Musk company is building it the same way. I am talking to a researcher who created the Llama model, went to India and creating foundation models in India for 1.5 billion people. That's going to be massive. And is going to use the same transformer model. Everything is built on transformer. So those models are interesting, and they are the parameter driven, the list of parameters. But if you can convince an investor to give you $10 billion, you can create a company again with those models that will perform that way. It's like throwing money, 1 trillion parameters, right? But what matters is, and then what they do is they have this petabytes of data they get from the internet. A lot of this data they get from internet, and then they train the model. But then the art starts. That's where the basics are. But then the art starts. It goes beyond that of how you use reinforcement learning through human. How do you post-train the model to make it useful? How do you constrain it so that it's ethically grounded? And then the new conversation is, it's not just about conversation that talks to you, but it is about how do you use that intelligence to build something that can solve a real life problem. Obviously, it solves a lot of my problems so that I can create the assignments faster, right? So if you get more assignments, it's because of ChatGPT, I can create it faster. Like you can do better assignment responses. I can create better assignments too, right? So it obviously solves that problem, but there are so many other real world problems it can solve too, on a serious note, right? Yes.
Within for technological advancements, will we have just more models based on the single transformer architecture, or do you think there will be advancements or like a different architecture and everyone will follow that? There will be new types of models and like, what do you think about it?
So, and it's also a very, very good question. Right now, what has happened is transformers has been a base, and then researchers have modified it, right, to make it work for them in a little unique way. So yes, there is some proprietary information, absolutely, because OpenAI has not used the like vanilla transformer model that they have got from the paper. They have modified it. There are hundreds and thousands of researchers working on it, very sharp minds, and they have modified it so it works better and uniquely. Absolutely. But will a new architecture come in? I think so. I'm pretty sure it will be out there, especially for the real world life. So there's a company opened by Fei-Fei Li. If you don't follow these researchers, I follow them all the time. Fei-Fei Li is a Stanford professor, similar to Andrew Ng and Jeff Hinton. She's another pioneer. And she had created a company called as Word, like real world models. What it means is, instead of using software applications from the model so that it can book a flight for you, that model is going to actually interact with real human beings. Imagine the robots, right? But much more intelligent robots, because they can talk and understand what you're talking about. And then they know what actions to take. That's a real world model. So can they all work on the transformers? There needs to be innovation there too. And I'm pretty sure people are thinking about it. They have not been able to come up with it yet. That has been breakthrough. Somehow this transformer model has been very, very enduring, right? I think, yeah, this transformer model has been very enduring. From last 7 years, no other architecture that was, like computer vision has a new architecture, right? But like CNN is architecture, by the way, if you want to go deep there. Is for the vision model, transformers for language models. BERT was before that. I'm pretty sure a new one might come in, and then it might change the game again, especially for real world scenarios.
And the modified architecture you meant are those
Modified architecture. So LLM is built on transformers, but then what they do is they keep it as a secret sauce. And what they do is, it's not like major changes, like you can have intuition, but it's not only about architecture. It's a lot about experimentation, data, their context, and they make it proprietary. So imagine transformer has this encoder decoder architecture. Just indulge me for a second. There's something called as the encoder decoder architecture. What they did in the GPT is they said, I don't need encoder, I'll just do decoder. And then maybe in the decoder, they said, I want, instead of 100 attention node, I'll create 5,000 attention. I'll do it in this way a little bit. So they make these modifications to it, and they don't tell about it because that's their proprietary edge. They're not into business of writing research paper, they're in business of making money. Yes.
What's your opinion about the
AI taking our jobs? Yeah, great. I have a slide on that, but let me say, AI will not take jobs of people. People who use AI will take jobs of people who don't use AI. Okay, so use AI, and you will be ahead of the curve. Learn how to build AI, you will really, really be ahead of the curve. Yes.
I have a question about that. How, if say I was in, I use AI a lot, but how do I articulate it in a way where it seems like it is necessary for that job? For example, I've heard many people say they use it, but I've never heard anybody articulate, like, besides just either reworking an email or asking a simple question, how can I articulate my stuff within AI in a way that they will say, oh, she doesn't want to just run either a press release or ask a question? Because I've never heard anybody, heard people say they use it and then you told to say it in an interview, but I haven't heard anybody articulate it in a way where it sinks in, or I can say it and get on the other way that, oh, she does, you know?
Yeah.
That's it.
No, that makes sense. I think there are two things that are happening because it's all new. One is people are scared to admit they use AI, right?
Right.
I'm not scared of admitting I use AI. People are scared of admitting because suppose if someone is a company, if they say I use AI, they will think it's not your idea, this is AI's idea. That's how they will think about it. Second, they will say, now you can do the 8-hour job in 5 hours. This is more work for you. Great. Now they're scared about that. They think their intelligence will be questioned if they admit to it, right? That's one of the challenge of people admitting to it. Now, to answer the question on how to articulate how it improves your productivity, imagine you are a designer. What's your background?
Marketing.
Marketing. Suppose you can say, I am marketing Guru, but through AI, now I can create prototypes and examples of how that marketing communication will go out and what results it can produce. And now I not only know how to create that content, I know how to communicate with customer, get that data, and create a prototype so that you can test it out. And instead of taking 6 months for development team to build because it takes research, I'll get it done in 5 weeks because I'll already have a prototype ready. I'm much more skillful because I bring that marketing knowledge, and now I can use AI to write a code for me and write an application for me, and I'll bring it all together for you. And now I'm in such a higher level of intelligence. Think of if executives, their calendars are being managed by admin assistants. Do they worry about saying my admin assistant is managing the calendar and people are judging them? No, these are your assistants. Use them and help them assist you to do the jobs, and maybe the jobs that you didn't think you can do. Like I was never a terrific software developer. That's why I guess I became a product leader. But I can use AI now to do what I love to do, is actually go deep into this data and model building. The issue with me was writing code was I was never able to understand these syntaxes. Why the hell there are syntaxes? Why can't be a natural language? I know logic behind it. I know what I want to get it done. I don't understand syntax. There's a syntax error. I didn't put colon there. What the hell? Syntax error in line 55. Now it can solve it for me. So now I can write code, right? So how can it augment you and make you do things you couldn't do, right? It can make you multifunctional. A coder can become a designer can become a coder. And that's where the roles are collapsing. Yeah, you had a question.
Yeah, I guess the way I see it being useful is if you have a unique insight into your field.
Yeah.
Right, and then you can somehow input that knowledge into a learning language model. And then you can produce information, or you can produce a service or provide a service or provide documents at a faster level at a higher scale. I mean, that's how I.
Yeah, no, totally agreed. Your unique knowledge insights is on top of assistance from these is absolutely a differentiator.
But kind of like Warren Buffett, you
Yeah.
know, using his knowledge, all his 90 some odd years, and somehow putting that data into a language model where you can pick stocks, like he would pick stocks.
Yeah, and I agree. I think there is a lot of conversation around that on how to create a companies that are actually going to differentiate themselves in market. And I think that's exactly the right conversation that you're talking about, where in the class we talk a lot about building these companies which have a data moat and specific knowledge. Like instead of these general conversational, can they have a lawyer company firm information so that they can act as a better lawyer that is targeted towards that law company style and a brand and a way.
Especially if that law firm, if they've been around a long time.
Yeah.
They have a lot of, memos or things that they write. That could be the differentiator between choosing that one and another.
Yeah. No, great point. Awesome. I know we are at 3:30. Thank you everyone for joining. Appreciate you all coming in. And if you want book, I know we wanted to have it displayed as a bookstore and I can do signing and stuff. We couldn't because I guess it got delayed and stuff. But if you get a book, feel free to get it, and I'm happy to sign. I think you might get it in a bookstore at some point. Then you can get it, or if you get it on Amazon, I'm happy to sign it for you. Yeah, thank you all.